Hey folks, this is Rhykker with a Diablo 2 Resurrected guide on mercenaries. In this video, we'll cover the best usage cases for each of the game's mercenaries, and the best gear to equip them with. Patch 2.4 buffs some of the underutilized mercenaries, making them a more viable option, and we're going to explore those possibilities. This guide is brought to you in collaboration with Diablo 2 expert Toioiz, and you can reference his written guide on maxroll.gg, link in the description. Now before we dive into any mercenary specifics here, a general note. When a mercenary is equipped with a ethereal item, that ethereal item will not lose durability. This makes them basically indestructible, so when you're able to, and it's desirable to, equip an ethereal on a mercenary, go for it. Alright, kicking things off with the Act 1 mercenary, the Rogue. She's an archer that comes in two flavors: fire and cold. The fire option deals more damage, but the cold option brings some valuable crowd control, slowing enemies, and she has the added benefit of shattering corpses. So no more pesky monster revives. So basically, if you're taking a rogue, if you want more damage, get fire. If you want more crowd control, get cold. Now, new in patch 2.4 is the ability to equip a rogue with an Amazon bow. This opens up some runeward possibilities that can be very powerful on a rogue. We'll explore 3 variations of rogue builds that are useful for some niche builds. In all cases, for the helm and the armor, we are looking for gear that's going to help keep them alive. So we're looking at a shaft stop and a vampire gaze, both socketed with an rune for more resistance. Damage reduction and resistances is what we're looking for to keep our rogue alive. That means the difference in our 3 variations will come down to the weapon. First variation for the cold rogue is going to be a Faith bow, a rune word that you're going to preferably put inside a Grand Matron bow. This rune word grants the Fanaticism aura, and Fanaticism will boost the attack speed, attack rating, and physical attack damage of herself, yourself, and anyone else in your party, any pets you may have. So if you're an attack build or a summon build, this is a nice option. The second variation is the Harmony rune word. You'll put this in a matriarchal bow, and that's going to increase the movement speed of, again, yourself, herself, your summons, anyone in your party. This is a nice rune word early on, before you get access to more powerful mercenaries. If you're on a summoner build, this will make your summons zip back and forth from enemy to enemy real fast. Then the third variation is for a fire rogue, and this is going to be the Brand rune word in a matriarchal bow. It doesn't grant an aura, but it has a 35% chance to cast a high-level amplified damage curse. It'll also turn all regular attacks into an exploding arrow, which increases her damage output significantly. She even has fire arrow, which acts as a synergy for all the exploding arrows she's using. Now, you'd use this setup if you don't need anything from your mercenary yourself, any kind of buff, aura, anything like that, and you just want to use your mercenary as a damage source. Now, another weapon choice is the Insight rune word. This can grant up to a level 17 meditation aura. As of patch 2.4, you can now put this inside a bow. Meditation gives us mana regen, so when you're struggling with mana, getting an insight on your mercenary is a very good early game option. However, if you are going for insight, in general, the Act 2 Mercenary is the better choice here. Then the last option we'll cover here is the Mist rune word inside a matriarchal bow, and you'll want that bow to already have +3 to bow skills. The rogue now benefits from this, so you'll get +3 to all skills, 20% increased attack speed, and up to 375% enhanced damage. +9 to max damage, and up to 14 cold damage. And +100% to piercing attack, which means arrows are going to go through the first enemy they hit and continue to pass through enemies, potentially hitting more and more rather than just a single target. On top of all that, Mist grants the concentration aura, which grants both the rogue and yourself up to 225% increased damage. Mist also gives some nice defense with +40 to all resist to help keep your rogue alive. So that covers the rogue. Let's move on now to the Act 2 Desert Mercenary. This is the most commonly used mercenary because it natively has paladin auras, which can be really helpful to you. The Desert Mercenary has been considered the best mercenary for pretty much every build, most builds, for over a decade. 2.4 brings buffs to the other mercenaries, but it doesn't really change the fact that the Desert Mercenary remains the best choice for most builds. Those auras are just so strong. Now, there's 3 different flavors of Desert Mercenary that you can hire, and each comes with a different aura. In normal difficulty, you can get mercenaries with either the Prayer aura, which heals you, the Defiance aura, which increases your defense, or the Blessed Aim aura, which grants you attack rating. Then in Nightmare in Hell, you can additionally get the Thorns aura, which makes monsters take damage when they hit your mercenary, the Holy Freeze aura, which slows enemies near your mercenary, and the Might aura, which grants you and your mercenary increased physical damage. Which of the Desert Mercenaries you hire depends on your needs. If you are a build that deals physical damage, either by yourself or through your summons, or you just want your mercenary to be a strong source of physical damage by himself, then get the Might Mercenary. If you're a build that uses only a single element as a damage source, then you might want to get this mercenary to be able to deal with enemies that are immune to your element. Alternatively, if you want a mercenary that brings excellent crowd control and helps keep you alive by slowing enemies, get Holy Freeze. The normal difficulty mercenary choices don't matter a whole lot, but if you're an attack-based character, you can get a Blessed Aim mercenary before you reach Nightmare. Otherwise, a Prayer mercenary will give you some nice healing before you reach Nightmare. Now for his gear, the Desert Mercenary can equip spears, polearms, and javelins. Which weapon you equip on your mercenary will depend on your build and your needs. If you are mana-starved, you can give your mercenary the Insight rune word that we spoke about before, because of its meditation aura. If you're a build that deals elemental damage and you're looking to maximize your damage, then Infinity is going to be the best choice. The Infinity rune word grants a level 12 Conviction aura, which reduces enemy elemental resistances by 85%. Further, the rune word will prevent monsters that your mercenary is attacking from healing, which can be quite useful against certain enemies, and it also makes enemies he hits lose up to 55% lightning resistance, making this invaluable for lightning builds. Also, Infinity grants a 40% chance of crushing blow, which is an incredibly useful tool for making your mercenary a significant source of damage. A crushing blow will deal an amount of damage scaled to the enemy's health, rather than an absolute amount of damage. So this scales really well for enemies with larger hit point pools. If you're running a physical damage build, you can equip your mercenary with the Reaper's Toll Thresher. Every time he hits an enemy, which will be every time he attacks an enemy, since the weapon makes him ignore a target's defense, there will be a 33% chance that he inflicts the Decrepify curse on an enemy. That means for 4 seconds, the enemy's damage, speed, and physical resistance are all reduced by 50%. But the better and more expensive option for a physical build would be the Pride rune word, which can grant up to a level 20 concentration aura, which will give you 345% increased damage. Now in all cases, for his helm and his armor, you're looking for pieces that keep him alive. Affixes like damage reduction are important. Percent life stolen per hit as well, very important. Resistance is of course very strong. So a Vampire Gaze gives that 8% life stolen per hit, along with up to 20% damage reduction. A Duriel's Shell armor has 50% cold resist, 20% fire, poison, and lightning resist, and while it's an expensive option, the Fortitude rune word inserted into Sacred Armor grants a huge amount of defense and plus 30 to all resistances. And Dariel's Visage is also a popular helm option here due to the 10% life stolen per hit and 20% increased attack speed. That takes us to the Act 3 Mercenary, the Iron Wolves. These are spell blades wielding sword and board but casting magic, and they come in 3 flavors, similar to a sorceress: fire, cold, and lightning. Now the best option out of these 3 is the Lightning Iron Wolf, because he casts, among his other skills, Static Field, a spell that deals no flat damage, but rather reduces an enemy's health based on a percentage. And if you're a fire druid, this can actually be your best in slot mercenary, when properly geared. With this setup, you're gonna teleport around, and the mercenary is gonna spam Static Field. And if you execute this very well, this setup can actually outperform the standard Act 2 Infinity setup. If you're picking the Lightning Iron Wolf, then the Crescent Moon rune word is a good option. It reduces enemy lightning resistance by 35%, making his static field more effective. You also want him casting that static field as often as possible, so a Griffin's Eye Diadem grants 25% faster cast rate, +1 to all skills, as well as negative 25% to enemy lightning resistance, and 20% to lightning skill damage. Pop a Rainbow Facet in there, and that's another negative 5% to enemy lightning resistance, and plus 5% to lightning skill damage. Now, if you're running a build designed to fight Ubers, then the Fire Iron Wolf is actually an interesting option, because he casts Enchant, which will give you a significant buff to your attack rating. That said, mercenaries rarely survive the Uber fights, so you want to actually get your mercenary to cast Enchant before you go into the fight. And if you're on a budget when it comes to gear, this mercenary really is a recommended option for Ubers. For the Fire Iron Wolf, a Hexfire Shamshir grants +3 to fire skills, which makes his enchant even more potent. For his armor, Ormus's Robes grants +3 to enchant. And for his helm, a Flickering Flame rune word grants another +3 to fire skills. Now, outside of those recommendations for helmet, armor, and shield, you're looking for gear pieces that'll help with utility and survival, resistance, damage reduction, and if possible, faster cast rate. A spirit shield is an inviting option, plus 2 to all skills, 35% faster cast rate, and a bunch of resists. However, in order to equip a spirit, you need to insert a foul rune into his armor to grant him enough strength to equip the spirit. And the Monarch shield that you're going to put that spirit into needs to be ethereal. For some more budget-friendly gear options, we have the Rockstopper Sallet Helm, Shaft Stop Armor, and another good armor choice would actually be the Skin of the Viper Magi, 35% all resist, 30% faster cast rate, and a Storm Shield is another great defensive option. Alright, that takes us to the Act 5 and final mercenary, the Barbarians. These guys come in 2 flavors, Frenzy and Bash. The Barbarian is the tankiest mercenary, and the Frenzy version outperforms Bash, making the Frenzy version the better option. In fact, the Frenzy Barbarian, when fully geared, is actually able to solo Uber bosses. You just gotta wait about 20 minutes for him to get the job done. Now, if your build does not require you to have an Insight or Infinity Rune Word on your Mercenary, then Frenzy Barb can be an inviting option to crank out more damage. The Frenzy Barb can equip 2 one-handed swords, so we have a few options on how to gear him. One option would be to outfit him with 2 Plague Rune Words. This is the new rune word in 2.4. It's a budget setup to help break enemy elemental immunities. When he gets hit, there's a chance to cast the lower resist curse. Another setup is dual Lawbringer rune words. This one has a chance to cast Decrepify instead of lower resistance, which will either break their physical immunity or reduce their physical resistance. So if you're running a physical build, this helps you out. Otherwise, it helps the Barbarian himself deal more damage. You could also go with dual Crescent Moons. This has a chance to trigger Static Field, which, like the Act 3 Lightning Mercenary, will remove a fraction of the enemy's health. If you're not a poison build and you're not a physical build, then you may want to go for this. And lastly, if you need help with Act bosses, you can give him 1 Lawbringer, as we spoke about, plus a Death Phase Blade. The Lawbringer brings Decrepify, and the Death Rune Word has a 50% chance of crushing blow. Again, that mechanic that deals damage that is a fraction of the enemy's health, very effective against enemies with tons of health, like Act bosses. Now, in all cases, the best in slot Helm and Chest items are pieces that make him tanky and give him Life Leech. So a Vampire Gaze Helm gives 8% life per hit, 20% damage reduction, Fortitude Rune Word and Sacred Armor gives a ton of defense and all resist. And that is gonna wrap up this video. But do be sure to have checked out all of our other video guides. We did a big push for 2.4 and Ladder Start. We got leveling guides for every class, a general leveling guide on how to level as fast as possible, a video on the best builds for patch 2.4, and we're having a suite of videos now coming out on farming guides, how to get all these gear pieces that we recommend. So do check those out and stay tuned for the ones that haven't come out yet. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider pledging on YouTube or Patreon and unlocking behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Rhykkers Raiders for more Diablo content.